Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of Let's Code with me, your host, Kyle. Today, as you saw, we're going to be dealing with password protection on a program. This one's a little more complicated than anything we've dealt with yet, and we actually get into using files which you can see here have the wrong monitor. With files that come up and have the password encoded, and we use the Caesar cipher that we had made before, as you can see right there, because I wanted to tie in some previous challenges, and I felt like this is a good way to do it. Like, just having it in plain text might not be a good idea, whereas, you know, someone who hasn't been watching the series, I suppose, like -5 before random letters might not really mean anything, and you know, you'd have to know exactly what we're using to obscure the password to understand how to crack the code. So let's get started. I have two programs here actually. I'd use the security wrapper, which is what contains the main class, and then my to-do list here. I like to do that when I'm coding. It makes things neater, I suppose. So here's our main part of the code where it says if user guess is equal to the password that it actually is, then do new main, which is this, which I have it set up so that I don't want to have to type this all the time. Right, so the way I have the program that it unlocks set up is it just changes the password. Would I like to set a new offset? Yeah, I'd like to set a new password also. So the new offset is going to be, it can't be above 10. I just didn't include that feature. I could have changed it, but I just, I don't know. I was lazy, I suppose. I apologize. So I'm just going to put 9, why not? And new password will be hello. And then I just changed the ending code here, and I suppose we don't really need that anymore anyway. So now, if we open up pass.pw, which I didn't use just a txt file too, because that would be also a little bit easy. You can see now we have, I set my offset to be 9, so now it's -9, and then QNUUX, which would be HELLO. So yeah. And the reason I put a -9 instead of just 9, because it goes forward 9 whenever we put in the offset. So whenever it reads the program, it uses the cipher the way that we had it, and it needs to go back 9 from the forward it went before. So it does that properly. All right, so let's get started here and start going through the code a little bit. I'm going to start with the security wrapper class because it's the main class and it's really the main part of the video, and I believe I imported some stuff here. I just wanted to make sure that you know what I'm using. So we have challenge 3, which is the Caesar cipher, and other than that, it's all good. That's all we need, because the way that the Caesar cipher works is it has the ABC by default, so it should be good. Everything's all right. All right, sweet. Let me just move something on my second monitor here. I apologize. And there we go. I apologize for chair noises. Let's get started. So this is the program goal, and it doesn't really matter now, but I just wanted to outline everything before I started. So the first things first, we need to import our Caesar cipher and make it a new instance of it. Now I didn't have just an empty constructor, and it was being a null pointer exception, so I just had to come in here and make a empty constructor, in case you're wondering how that worked out. Then we have to set up a offset and 2 strings, which is the hidden password and the actual password. The hidden password is what we read from the file, and then the password is the deobfuscated one that we do. So as per usual, the only thing in our main class is new security wrapper, new whatever the constructor is of the current class we're working in. So first things first is we set up our scanner, and then we call a method readPass, and then we pass in pass.pw. So repass is what handles the file reading, and it's a bit long, but that's okay. So you have to, with files, you have to have a try catch. That's just the way it works, unfortunately, but that's how it is. So so we have to try catch, and we open up a file reader and buffered reader. The file reader takes in the file name that we put in up here, password.pw, and the buffered reader takes the file reader, and we can use the buffered reader to read the file. So string file input is equal to buffered reader.readLine. Now this is the entirety of the input, but buffered reader.readLine only reads the first line, so it won't read anything past that. But that's okay, because as you see, we only have one line in the whole text file, and that's the password, nothing else. So that should be good. So this is what handles if it is a negative or a positive offset. Now it's almost always going to be a negative, just the way that I normally do it, but you could use negative or positive, whichever you prefer. So if character.isDigit, and that's the very first character in the password file, right? So if this one is a digit, it knows it's a positive number then, right? So it will say offset is equal to integer.parseInt, which basically just says integer.parseInt we've worked with before. It's just turns a string into a integer. And then we do character.toString, because character is different from a string, so we have to convert it. And then we do file input.character at 0. So that would be, again, the first one, which would be the digit. At this point would be like 9 or whatever, and not the negative. And then hidden pass is equal to file input.substring. So everything after the first character is the password, right? So the first character is the number, and then the rest is password. So it sets up everything that we need there. And then we have the it tells us the actual password here, which is just a debug thing, so I can comment that out. Else if else from the if it's not a digit, else if the file input.character at 0, the first character, is equal to negative, or a dash, right, which is negative. Offset is equal to integer.parseInt, and then we do file input.substring, the first 2 letters, right? I could check here, like do if third is also a number, then do that. But I think it's alright. I mean, like, it would only be a couple lines of code, and I probably should have done it, but that's alright. I'll probably change that later if I ever need to, or if I ever feel like it's important. So now we have the offset, which is the negative number here, and then we have hidden pass is equal to file input.substring2, which is basically everything after the second integer, or the second thing, because as you see, it takes 2 here, 0, 1, and then 2 and up. And then we have password is equal to, wait, is this in just here? I never set that. Probably should make sure that's alright. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. Password is equal to cipher.useCipher, and now we have cipher up here again, and then useCipher we worked with in episode 3, and then we do hidden pass, which is the obfuscated password that we have here, and then we have offset, which is the -9 currently. And then it stores our password in plain text here, so that is good. And then we have to close the buffered reader and the file reader, so that it finishes writing to the file. Then if it catches any errors, it'll print the stack trace and exit the program. So now that we've read the file and set up all of our variables here, and we have everything all set, now we can say, what's the password to use for the program? What is the password to use the program? Then it has user input or user guess is equal to scanner.nextLine. We've worked with this a lot. And then it says if user guess dot equals password, which is a little bit different than the equals. It's basically checking if 2 are exactly identical, as opposed to equals is a little bit less efficient and sometimes doesn't work. I'm not 100% sure as to why or why not. It does or doesn't work sometimes, but if it doesn't, I always just do dot equals. So if it's correct, it says new main, and then we pass in the offset that we have because I have it set up in here so that we can write passwords and remember the previous offset, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then if the user guesses the incorrect password, it says that password is incorrect, goodbye. I have it set up to just print out the current password. I'll comment that out. And then it exits the program. So that's the security wrapper program that wraps around your program. Now, I wanted to have it set so that I could just say like class X or whatever, and then I could, down here where it says new main, I could do like new X, but I suppose it would always be different because parameters and such, and it won't let you put pass in a class to a method. So that's unfortunate, but oh well. I guess I'll be able to live with it. Now in our main class, this is super simple. It's just we have a write new password and our main here. So I'll go through the main first. So this dot old offset is equal to old offset. So the old offset is what we pass in whenever we call the program, call the constructor, I should say, and then we set what the old offset was. The reason for this is if we don't want to put a new offset, we can just use the old one. Then we initialize our cipher, I don't know. I'm sorry. We initialize our cipher, and then we have to use 2 scanner classes. Again, I mean, I have no idea why one scanner never works for me. It throws error. It doesn't throw errors. It just doesn't work. And I don't know. I've tried reset and close and everything. I don't know. I'll have to look that up sometime. But for now, it works fine with 2. So then we ask, would you like to set a new offset? Yes or no. Would you like to set a new password? Yes or no. If they said yes to either of those things, then basically takes the information with puts it to a variable. We've worked with this a whole lot. This isn't anything new here. If offset is equal to 0, which is what I initialize it at, 0, then keep it at old offset. I should probably say, I'm actually gonna change something really quick here. If offset is equal to null, which is what it starts at. Nah, I'll fix it later then. Whatever. Can't spend time debugging in the video. Then I had this just signify the end of the class here, and it would finish. We have a write new pass here, which is what writes to the file in the first place. So if password is not equal to just blank, because we initialized it at that, and you need a password else it throws an error at the start, which I suppose I could work around, but I just didn't set anything up. I did this one relatively quickly, so I'm sorry if it's not as featured as you would prefer. I'll try to make sure everything is set up next time properly. So if password's not equal to nothing, then it'll say file writer, new file writer, and then we have to write to the file password.pw. And then print writer is basically the same thing as the readers before. Print writer just goes wraps around the file writer. And then print writer.print the negative of our offset, because as I said earlier, we need to go back if we go forward, or if we go back then we need to go forward. And then it prints cipher.useCipher, and then it uses the password and the offset. Notice I use print, not print line, because again, we only use one line. And then we have to close these again to make sure everything is written properly. Again, if there's an error, it will exit and print the stack trace. So yeah, that again was a super quick program. It's not like it's the first time we worked with files, right? So it's not exactly a small program by any means, but it's fairly straightforward. Other than the read pass and write pass, everything else we've seen before. It's just taking and using user input. So yeah, it's fairly simple, but I hope I explained things enough, and if I didn't, please let me know. If you enjoyed the episode, let me know. If you didn't enjoy it, let me know. I'd appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day.